I'm going to take you through the repair, restoration, and testing of my Marantz 2265, so let's get started. The Marantz 2265 was produced from 1977 to 1979. It featured 65 watts per channel at 0.3% distortion. The 2265 supported 2 speaker systems. Also, it had pretty much all the conventional controls of the time. And the 2265 retailed for $580. Later in the 2265's production run, there was a B model, which had a little bit better specs. For one thing, it was still 65 watts per channel, but the total harmonic distortion spec was down to 0.08, where this 2265 was at 0.3, but they're both very similar receivers. As you guys that follow my channel know, I don't only collect the equipment, I repair my own equipment. And this unit, just like all of them, I received it. I didn't know anything about it really. And so I did the same thing I always do, that same routine. Just take a look at it. And look at it with the case on, but also take a look at it with the top cover and the bottom cover off. And just see if you see anything. I didn't see anything in this case. Most of the time I don't, but there's been a few times that I have, and it's just one of those automatic things you do before you power up a piece of equipment. So I got the 2265 powered up, seemed to power up fine. And then I noticed, just sitting on the test bench, and the sound would stop. I had like the FM on, I'm just listening to it. I'm thinking, okay, well, I've got both channels, sounds okay. Let's proceed. And it just quit. And I could hear the relay click, the protection relay, the speaker relay. Let me see what's going on there. A lot of times these relays over 40 years, like in this unit's case, or even more than 40 years, those contacts go bad. I took a little plastic rod that I have and I just tapped the heck out of that speaker relay, and it'd come and go, it'd come and go. And I thought, all right, well, you know, this is not unusual. I'll replace that relay and on I'll go. And I did replace that relay and on I did go. But later on in the video, I'm gonna talk about a problem I had. Probably didn't involve this relay. I thought it did. It didn't, but it didn't hurt to change out a 40-year-old relay anyways. I started cleaning the faceplate, got the faceplate off like I always do. And these Marantzes, as a lot of you guys know, whether you have one yourself or you've seen people talk about them, they all need that vellum paper changed out, right? It just, over the decades, and it yellows. It's a piece of paper. This white vellum paper has now turned into kind of yellow-brown vellum paper. So they always have to be changed out to make that dial look new again. And it's a little bit of a pain. You just got to be real careful. Some of them come off pretty easy. Some of them don't come off very easy. And you don't want to mar that dial face. So you just got to take your time and it'll come off. You just got to work it with a X-Acto knife or some other method you may have. It always seems to work with me. And just the whole key is though, take your time. Don't get frustrated. Just realize that some of these are really on there. I always use Deoxit products. I always talk about them. There's a lot of good cleaners out there. That's what I use. Obviously with these assemblies out, you can see how much easier it is to get that Deoxit into those switches and those pots. You got it you're holding it in your hand instead of trying to spray it down in the chassis. And as you guys know, I'm going to change out all of those old electrolytic capacitors. That's what I do in all of my equipment, all of the pieces I have. I do that both for sound quality, but as much for reliability. These are 40-year-old electrolytic capacitors, and it's just time for them to be changed out. Remember I told you in the beginning, I thought the speaker relay was bad, and as I was doing the restoration, changing out components and powering it back up, I found out I had the same problem. I'd power it up and it'd just be sitting there and click, what is going on? So anyway, I got the unit up on its side and I figured out that it was the left channel, the power amp assembly causing the problem. And what was happening, I was getting 30 volts up on my protection assembly. My DC offset was going to 30 volts. You don't want 30 volts DC on your speakers because that's going to turn out bad for your speakers. In this particular Marantz 2265, you've got to get that whole assembly out on the bench so you can work on it. If you've got any kind of an issue like this, use jumpers just to temporarily hook it up so you can work on it. I worked on it for some time. It can just drive you nuts, and this one really did drive me nuts. I had to put it away a couple times. I put it away on the shelf, you know, because you've done everything you know how to do. You've done it over and over. It didn't have no rhyme, no reason. I'd reflow like some pins thinking, well, I've got probably a solder issue or something, and it'd work. And I think, there we go. I got it. I put it back together. I have it sitting on the bench. It runs for an hour. Click. Not again. And I take it all back apart, and I worked on it for, I think, the third time. I got it out on the bench, said, okay, here we go again. What I was doing was wiggling and bending this assembly a little bit. What I found was a minute crack in a piece of artwork. I repaired that. I then thought, well, I think I repaired it. It's been running now for about a year, okay, so I feel pretty sure that I actually did fix it that time, but believe me, I was skeptical and scared for a while, but that's just one of those things that come up sometimes. And so I went ahead, I recapped the entire unit, as I always do, talking 40 plus years, and you guys know how I look at things. I want the stuff to work as well as it did when it was new, and I want it to run another 40 years. I let it run on the test bench a few hours, and then I sent it to bench testing, which I always do. As you guys know, I always bench test after I rebuild a piece of equipment. The Marantz 2265 is just a great sounding receiver. With 65 watts per channel, it's going to give most people all the power they'll ever need. It's got that classic Marantz look. It's a wonderful piece of equipment from the 1970s. Now it's time to listen to this Marantz 2265. If you enjoyed this Marantz 2265 video, please give me a big thumbs up down below. If you're not a present subscriber and you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And as always, thank you so much to my present subscribers. Y'all have a good day.